So if you're part of those Republican inner circles and now have to decide to make the Boehner blowout a positive, where do you begin? We begin welcoming back the veteran Republican political consultant and co-author of The Clintons' War on Women. Roger Stone joins us here in the studio. Roger, pleasure to have you here, and we'll absolutely talk about our favorite Donald Trump guy later. But right now, let's focus on John Boehner. How did he fail so badly?
By ignoring the grassroots of the Republican Party and the conservative movement, by being an inside-the-beltway establishmentarian, never interested in really confronting the Obama administration, more interested in splitting the difference. It's the same problem we have in the Senate. And therefore, the congressional leadership and the grassroots are totally out of sync. Boehner is, above all, a vote counter. And he either thought this vote was going to be close or that he might even lose. And therefore, he was getting while the getting's good.
But he's such a savvy politician. It would seem to me that somebody of his ilk could see what's coming well before it happens. And even just a couple of days ago, I guess they were smoke screening us and saying, don't worry, everything's okay. He had to see this coming well in advance.
Well, but he's already had a great run. And there have already been several runs at him that failed. So this was only a matter of time. Or to use your phrase, I think he did see what was coming. And that's exactly why he decided to get out of town.
So did he get out before somebody would have publicly and much more embarrassingly pushed him out?
Well, clearly they were heading to a showdown. Perhaps he would have survived by a handful of votes. Perhaps he would have lost by a handful of votes. Either way, he's Speaker of the House, and that's a major embarrassment. So he is 2 steps ahead of the posse, in my opinion.
Is this a good thing, though, for the Republican Party? You heard my lead in here, but other people say that, wait a minute, the Tea Partyists are going to be all unhappy by the time this thing does shake out, and it's going to come to their detriment instead of being a positive.
Well, it depends on who the new leader is. I mean, we're being asked to critique what happens next when we don't know what happens next. Let's see who is chosen. Let's see the tone that they take. The goal for the Republican Party has always remained the same, whether it is at the congressional level or the presidential level. We must find a way to keep the regular establishment Republicans and the conservative Tea Party wing together, or you have no chance of victory.
But is that even possible in this environment?
It may not be, but that's the hat trick that you have to try.
Kevin McCarthy then is apparently the heir. I mean, that's at least what they're saying at this point. Then John Boehner says he likes that idea. Do you think there'd be any change whatsoever? Is McCarthy the guy to shake things up and do it positive?
I'm not familiar enough with McCarthy to answer the question other than say I hear some rumblings today. And therefore, as Yogi Berra, who just died a couple of days ago, said, it's not over till it's over. This is a Republican caucus. You know, the difference between a caucus and a cactus? At least on the caucus, all the pricks are on the outside. On the cactus, all the pricks are on the outside.
Don't worry about it. I think either way you would have said it, I think you probably got it right at this point. Just a few seconds left here before we move on, Bo. But do you think that the Democrats are salivating right now?
Well, they may be. They've got their own set of problems, but anytime you have turmoil in the Republican Party, it's a good thing for the other party, sure.
By the way, I just want to tell you, in my ear, I've been told that we've heard from the National Cactus Foundation, and they're already very upset at us for making any kind of cactus jokes.
I bet.
But no, I got a feeling there's going to be a whole lot more. All right, Roger Stone is going to switch hats during the break and return as the man who worked with and for Donald Trump until recently. And we seek some clairvoyance on perhaps what the Donald has in store for America and the media next on The Hardline. It is the new normal in American politics, taking a lead from the great George Costanza, who proved that every man is always concerned about shrinkage. But in this case, when poll numbers begin to shrink, fear not, take the news head on and do it is now considered the playbook. Blame the media for ignoring you, blame the news photog for taking pictures of an empty chair, and continue to deflect as fast as you possibly can. Then again, the Donald Trump playbook is still working for now. Back with us is the veteran Republican operative and strategist and former top advisor to the Trump campaign, Roger Stone. All right, Roger, I promised you we'd go ahead and get on to Donald Trump. Look, here's the thing. Donald says, I have very thick skin and I don't mind being criticized. He's going after Fox. He's going after an AP photographer who photographed empty chairs at one of his recent events. He's going after the New York Times. He goes after CNN. He doesn't have a thick skin whatsoever. He acts like a petulant 12-year-old.
Look, he's fearless. He's a brawler.
Is he really fearless,
Yeah,
though?
he really... Look, the media wasn't taking pictures of Jeb standing on his tiptoes at the debate last week to try to look an inch taller than Trump, but he was. Look, what I've learned here in this short period is that all the things I thought I knew about politics and conventional wisdom are out the window when it comes to Trump. He had a debate which was 10-on-1. You can argue a bit, but I think he went in with one limited objection: destroy Jeb Bush, and he has done that. In the Fox poll, 2% thought that Jeb performed best in that poll. Jeb is the major obstacle to Trump's nomination. He's the guy with $150 million in dirty Wall Street money in the bank, and I think Trump has vanquished him. He has branded him so badly, so skillfully, as low energy, that we're now talking about Marco Rubio, that Rubio is now rising as the potential establishment candidate.
But if he went after Jeb Bush and succeeded, has he not, though, damaged himself, though, eventually? Because all he seems to do is take one-liner shots. It's a comedy show to many people. It's a reality show. What is he really giving us that's substantive?
I think that he has identified the big picture precepts of what a Trump administration would look like. He's not going to get down the weeds in a policy discussion, put forward 10-point plans like President Newt Gingrich did. How well did that work out? You want to talk about substance? Scott Walker and Rick Perry, those guys had plenty of substance. Where are they?
No zip.
They're out of the race. Trump has plenty of zip. He has a larger-than-life personality. He has compassion. He has, I think, particularly a can-do spirit. I'd like to see his economic plan. I'm familiar with his book, Time to Get Tough, which was published originally in 2011, has now been brought out very recently by Regnery in paperback. You want to know where Trump stands on foreign policy, terrorism, the economy, job creation, trade? It's all there in the book.
Is that why he doesn't bother to talk about it in the public? He'll just say, go out and buy my book, a lot like Hillary Clinton, what she said recently.
To a certain extent. Look, I would like to see a little more policy, but I don't want to see so much that the voters' eyes begin to glaze over, and you do begin to see that. Look, this stuff, dust up with Marco Rubio, to me is fascinating. I like Marco Rubio. I think he might be president someday. He's got a couple terms in the Florida legislature, and he's got less than a full term in the U.S. Senate. And in all honesty, he stopped showing up for work about 2 years ago. He's got the worst attendance record of any member of the Senate.
Which he says is not entirely his fault, because he spends time with his family.
Well, and also because he's running for president.
Yes.
His excuse that he's not doing the job that he's elected to now is because he was trying to get another job. That makes no sense to me. I would like to see him come back and run for Florida, run for governor, get some executive experience. Remember, Ed, the job here is chief executive. Donald Trump has run a billion-dollar corporation. Donald Trump has met more foreign leaders face-to-face than Marco Rubio has. To say, oh, I sat in these hearings, therefore I have more experience, that's nonsense. As far as Hezbollah and Hamas and knowing the difference, all you need to know is this: they're evil and they need to be crushed, which is more than you can say for this administration.
But what about the poll numbers then? I got a little bit more than a minute left here. The poll numbers, some say that there's slippage. I mentioned the shrinkage, the slippage factor, if you will. It does seem to some people that the summer of Trump is slowly dissipating, and fewer people are showing up at his events.
Look, you have a fluid situation. The race is still wide open. Nobody's hit the 50% mark, but Trump's numbers have held up remarkably well considering the onslaught that he has been under, and only the future will tell us what's going to happen.
But you are the advisor. You're the guy that has the political savvy right now. After all that I've just detailed and all we've talked about that Donald Trump has done, right here, everything, what would you tell Donald to do from here on out?
He needs to go into the next debate, and he needs to command that debate by laying out a few very broad but specific things that he wants to do. Let's take the example of immigration, because it worked perfectly for him. He raised the issue, then he put out a proposal. That proposal became the flashpoint for all the discussion. As controversial it was, Trump moved up. That's the model. Tell us where you are in the economy. Tell us how you will bring China to their knees. Tell us how you will take on ISIS, and he will be the next president.
10 seconds. Do you think he and Roger Ailes are playing a ratings game right now, just having fun?
Look, I think any time that you are not on the TV network that reaches 8 out of 10 Republican primary voters, you're disserving yourself. So I hope for Trump's sake, and for Fox, because they need the ratings too, that this gets resolved.
That is it. They need each other, right?
I think they do need each other. I think Trump is great television, and Fox is the gold standard in terms of reaching Republican voters, conservative voters.
Let's remind everybody once again, the book is Clinton's War on Women. Roger Stone. It's always a pleasure, my friend. Please stop by a lot more often. We'd love to have these kind of discourses.
Good to be here.
All right. Stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes of news. The hard line continues, where His Holiness takes New York by storm.